So the Bucks, the favorite to win the inaugural in-season tournament at plus 150, followed by the Lakers at plus 225, with the Pelicans and Pacers rounding it out at plus 375 and plus 45 respectively. So Austin, which duo do you think that's been better this season? Is it Zion and Brandon Ingram, or is it AD and LeBron?
It's a good question. It's a good question because we've seen both have their moments. I'm going to go with the youth, man. I'm going with Zion and Ingram, especially as of late. Zion, his biggest thing has always been health. That's been his biggest issue.
Absolutely.
When this guy's on the floor, man, there is nobody physically in the NBA that can guard him. He's a matchup nightmare. He's too big for smaller guards, and he's too quick for centers and guys they try to put him on. You talk about this matchup tonight. This is probably my favorite game of the in-season tournament, in the playoffs specifically. We got AD and Zion going at it. I want one of them to establish themselves early. I'm talking about first quarter, second quarter. Okay. We talked about it earlier. Zion's got to go through AD's chest. That's got to be every single time. He's got to play that physical inside out, and I would like to see AD do the same thing because for what he lacks in maybe strength, what Zion has, he has in size and length. He could do this. You know what I mean? But I like the Ingram Zion pairing. That's my favorite.
It's hard for me to go against LeBron and AD.
It is. It's difficult.
I get the offensive output by Zion and BI because they are special. Nobody is belittling or demeaning how special of a duo that they are. But you know this, Austin, a little bit, and I always call Austin AR. It's sometimes like, it feels like the lack of experience a little bit, I think, will come into play as relates to this question about who is better. In big game moments, I trust LeBron James and his decision-making and his leadership. I think there are certain attributes, even though I think Zion and B.I. might have a higher ceiling talent-wise. I think those below-the-lines types of attributes that lead to championships, I trust more in that pedigree of LeBron and AD in doing the difficult things in those hard moments. Maybe because I haven't seen Zion and B.I. do that yet.
We haven't yet.
In the big moments.
Yeah.
So that gives me a tendency to trust more in LeBron to do those things in the weeds, like those defensive possessions or the IQ.
He's been there.
He's had those 4 steals they had the other night. You saw him making those steals as a free safety defensively. Like nobody's giving him credit for stuff like
even down the stretch of the season, like even later in the season, in year 21, he's playing 40 minutes a night right now, we're seeing.
Austin, in the game with KD, in the game with Devin Booker, in the game with Anthony Davis, he was the best player on the floor at 38 years old, and he got steals down the stretch. Like, nobody's talking about how
much
big
of that
is
his work ethic and how he takes care of his body, even beyond the talent.
He's second to none. I mean, he talked about, I think that stat came out a couple years ago, he spends over $1 million on his body. That was like the new wow, not just in basketball, but across sports. Everybody was like, whoa, this guy goes to that lengths to take care of himself, and now we're seeing.
Yeah, but it pays dividends.
We're seeing now, and that's no disrespect to someone like, look at Udonis Haslem, right? Great NBA career, played a long time. You saw how his body was in year 20 versus how LeBron's is, and I know a lot of that's genetics, but a lot of that just has to do with how much this guy is crazy about taking care of himself. And I just still, man, I do hear you though. They have the experience in terms of decision making. LeBron's probably the best ever.
The best there is. Yeah.
And.
See, I'll raise you one level on this, though. Ready?
I just want New Orleans to win.
I know. I hear.
I think
New Orleans.
Lakers got everything.
Well, that's a different question, though.
Yeah.
Because I think the Pelicans are going to win tonight as well, right? Doesn't mean better season. I'm just trying to tell who I think.
Yeah.
But to raise it a level, we talk about the physical conditioning of LeBron. Just to take it a step up.
Yeah.
The mental conditioning of this dude, combined with the physical conditioning. You know how hard it is, Molly, for people to think when they're damn tired?
Yeah. Absolutely. It happens on TV.
All the time.
Literally.
Slur your words, you might misspeak, right?
Yeah, of course.
When you get into the fourth quarter, down the stretch, the ability when everybody's body is tired, to be that type of a tactician that LeBron James is, that's what levels him up other than other players in the league, to think the game when he's tired.
The other thing I want to know, Jay Will, is which star scary to face or scary to the opposition in this respect when we're talking about the in-season tournament? Is it Dame or is it Haliburton? It's tough.
I would say Dame from a clutch perspective because there's nobody in the league like him from a clutch perspective.
Okay.
Down the stretch, if you need a bucket, yes. As it relates to a full 48 minutes, though, it's hard not to go like Tyrese is that answer for me. Haliburton, just because his team averages 128 points per game. He accounts for 50% of their scoring between points and assists. And it's the style in which they play, man. It's fast. And also, Austin, like, he gives – one of the things I hate about guards sometimes is the guys who get the ball and they just pound the ball out. They pound it out the entire possession.
Exactly.
This dude just kicks the ball ahead. He allows you to make plays. And that's what – so I would say Tyrese from a full game perspective, but in the clutch, I'll go with Dame.
I have to agree. The best thing you just said was how Tyrese plays. It's infectious, too. The extra pass, the hockey pass. He doesn't get the assists all the time, but he kicks the ball ahead and creates motion. They're the fastest-paced team in the league. It looks like they have fun playing with each other, all of them. You can see their bench and how live they are when the starters are in, when the bench is in, their whole team is in. Give shout out to Carlisle for that. Listen, Damian is one of the best clutch players of all time. We know this, and especially right now in the NBA. If we're talking about who's a bigger threat, it has to be Tyrese just for the output that he has to put for their team to even be competitive. Whereas Damian is in a situation for the first time in his career where he is second fiddle. He's not the first option. He's playing alongside Giannis, a two-time MVP. Again, in the clutch, I know he has the ball in his hands a lot, but the whole game is dependent upon Tyrese doing what he does. If he has an off game, they don't win. It's just not going to happen. I'm not saying they're not capable of winning some regular season games, but in the playoffs or in the in-season tournament, for the Pacers to have any type of success,
Tyrese,
he has to be spectacular. Whereas Dame can be good if Giannis goes for 50 and they have a chance to win. You know what I'm saying?
I really wish
But it's nice to see the Pacers and Pelicans in this. You know, absolutely have some different
teams. I really wish we were debating that question.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just called Dame Lillard second fiddle to Giannis. He is not second fiddle.
He's not the second best player on that team?
I think they have shared responsibilities. I think there are a lot of.
They definitely have shared responsibilities.
I think
whose team is it?
No, well, it's going to be Giannis' team because Dame came to Giannis' team. But don't get that twisted, though. In really clutch moments, Giannis defers to Dame. And by the way,
depending on what they need. If they need a three, if you're saying you're down one, you're not throwing it to Giannis at full head of steam to make a play?
I'm saying either one works for me. Either one works for me depending upon the matchup and depending upon the game. Like, I think that's 1A, 1A.
Well, what's wrong with me saying second fiddle?
I just think for players.
You just don't like it.
I don't like it. You don't makes me feel
you don't like it, huh?
Well, because, how many times has Dame been called second fiddle in his career?
It doesn't matter. Listen, James Harden was never that until he's had to bounce around a couple
times. Comparing James Harden to Dame Lillard?
Well, if we're talking career, James Harden has had a better. You don't want to take James Harden's numbers over Dame? I played with James in Houston. Ain't nobody seeing him.
I agree. Oh, which James are we talking about? Because I'll take the mentality of Dame all day over James.
Bro. James Harden in Houston, especially his last 2 years before the bubble.
I understand that.
Buddy was the best guard in the NBA.
I agree with you.
And that's including the guys who won. Steph Curry was an MVP, but in terms of the output, you talk about what Tyrese does for a team. James Harden those days in Houston, bro, we're talking about triple-double, 30 games in a row with 30 or more. That takes a lot of mentality to do.
So are we talking about the second fiddle, or has it turned into what player would you rather have, Dame or James?
In their prime, James, and to answer your question, I do think Damian is second fiddle to Giannis. There should be an ego in that.
Okay.
I think the more he accepts that, the better he'll be. I think the better they'll be. I think when someone is open to take a back seat to someone, it usually provides clarity.
But see, that's funny. I see them both driving the car. I see them both in the front seat. I don't see anybody in the back seat.
It's like the driver's car. They're both on the steering wheel, but one has a little bit more control than the other. Yeah, but that's all I'm saying. Like, Giannis has to be the guy that's.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of games where Giannis wasn't the guy where Dame carried the torch. Offensively.
And listen, there's some nights Jordan didn't have it and Pippen had it, but we all knew whose bus it was. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to tell you. This is Giannis' team. What are we saying here?
No, I'm not trying to debate whose team it is.
That's
I
my
understand
point.
One's over, but that doesn't mean second fiddle to me, though. Second fiddle means, hey, you take a back seat.
Look up second
I'll
fiddle.
call for you in time after time. But, like, to me, this is a shared thing. They're 1A, 1A.
Yeah, that's what is it 1 and 1A maybe? Is that fair?
That's still going to be second fiddle to him. In a clutch moment, who are you going to?
Listen, man.
Wait, let me ask you.
They gave 55 in the playoffs.
No, I love them both. They're both my guys. In a clutch moment, who are you going to?
But that doesn't mean he's not. That doesn't mean he's not second fiddle. That just means he's better at an area. He's better at a certain time, maybe than Giannis is. In the other 47 minutes of the game.
That's a valid point.
Yeah, that just means.
But Dame can't carry the torch for 47 minutes.
He can. But Giannis has done it and got it to the championship.
The definition to second fiddle is one that plays a supporting or subservient role. We'll go with supporting.
Subservient?
No, that's a different connotation.
See, I knew that definition in my mind.
No,
there's no way Dame is subservient.
Okay, so not supporting. We're going with supporting.
Okay, supporting.